on the Newman Jets Audio Network. This is the Jetcast, the official podcast of Newman University Athletics, featuring exclusive interviews with coaches, players, administrators, and more. The Jetcast podcast is brought to you by South Central Ceiling and Paving, online at SCSEALING.com. Mel Hambledon Ford, Pepsi, Eck Agency, Donlinger Construction, Big Corner Creative, Dr. Brennan Lucas and Advanced Orthopedic Associates, Keystone Solid Surfaces, and by Overland Charters, the official transportation provider of Newman University Athletics. Here's the voice of the Newman Jets, Blake Cripps.
The spring tennis season is underway, and both the men and women are off to winning starts and headed to the weekend looking for more success. The women headed to Drury on Saturday, while the men are hosting Ouachita Baptist on Friday morning in a conference match. Welcome into episode 60 of the Jetcast. We are hitting the hard courts today. We will be back on the basketball court in just a moment. Don't worry about that. But we're starting on the tennis court. Yeah, believe it or not, tennis is back for the spring season. And the Jets have already played some matches, and both the men and the women are coming off of wins heading into this week. We are joined by the Newman Director of Tennis, Shella Augspurger. So great to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, a long break from October to February. How excited are you? How excited were your men and your ladies to get back out on the court, not just for practice, but for some actual matches?
Oh, it was good to start early. I know the boys kind of jumped into it because we had a conference match, their very first match. It wasn't planned, but with Augustana coming into the conference in the MIAA, we had to fit them in, and that was the best time that they could get down here. So their first match was a conference match.
And it was a 4-3 win for you guys. How did you feel like that match went against, I believe that they are the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so, yes. I thought it went really well. We played well. It was good to see what we needed to still work on, because usually we play some easier teams, and it's not as obvious when we play the easier teams what it is we need to against a tougher team. And so that was what I thought was the best thing, was that we, as coaches, got to see where we need to start working on instead of just waiting another couple weeks before we get into the harder matches.
And then it wasn't necessarily a conference match, but may have had that intensity as you brought in an old Heartland Conference rival, the Dallas Baptist Patriots, to play. Your ladies able to knock off the Patriots 5-2. What impressed you the most about that win?
Yeah, Wade and I are good friends, and we have been since we were in the Heartland. It was nice to get back to playing them. The teams are usually about very similar on the women's side. I thought we did a lot better in the couple weeks since we had played Wichita State and Augustana, so I thought they improved a lot. It was a good win. It was a real good win.
I think we talked earlier, we had you on in the fall as kind of a preview, look ahead, didn't have any players on. We have got a men's player coming up, Luca Penteado, will be joining us in just a second here on the show, a sophomore from Brazil playing on the men's team. We'll also be joined by Coach Mendel Folefac, a graduate assistant in his first year on the Newman men's basketball team. So that's coming up here in a few minutes on the Jetcast. But you mentioned that you didn't feel like you were quite dialed in the fall in terms of where everybody was going to be playing on the men and women's side. How close do you feel like you are to getting all those knobs twisted in the right spot and getting everybody in the right place so they can help you score the most points to get the most wins?
Well, we're still figuring that out. And in tennis, every week, because the teams are so similar, the players are so similar in level, that I think it's just going to be one of those that whoever's the best six that week is going to play in the lineup. Everybody's fighting for spots. We have 2 and 3 players fighting for that sixth spot every time. So I think it's been really good in practice, because everybody's really working hard, because they know there might be something little that decides whether they play or not play. We're still figuring that out, and it may adjust for the next month, actually, as people get better. And so I really don't know. We're still up in the air.
Who have been the leaders on the men's and women's team, just from a player perspective, trying to get everybody on the same page and playing their best?
Well, the two captains, Pedra and Luca, they're the two captains this year. They've really been doing a really good job. Pedra's new, and Luca's only a sophomore, so it's a different type of captainship, I guess you would say.
Yeah, is that a little unusual for your
it's
team?
very unusual. But
is that something voted on by the players? Do coaches have a say in that?
Well, we were going to do it in the fall, but because we had so many new players, I didn't know what to do. So I just told them we were just going to have, just play, and everybody could step up if they wanted to, and I wanted to see who would step up. The guys got to say, they told me who they thought they wanted, and then it was up to the coaches to decide.
Okay.
And that's what we decided, and they're doing a really good job.
Any surprises, maybe not necessarily who has been good, but who is better than you thought that they would be at this point on the men's or women's side? Anybody who has surpassed your expectations here in the early going and is trying to build for the future and maybe going to become a factor here quickly if they aren't already?
I think like all the new players, I didn't really know because a lot of them are international, and we watch film and we talk to them and we look at the records and what they have. So most of them are a surprise. Like we really don't know until they get here. Plus, a lot of them grow up on clay. And
Sure.
playing on hard court is different, so it takes them a while to adjust.
Absolutely.
We brought in Andrea from Italy, sorry. He's from Italy. We brought him in January, so he's trying to adjust to the hard court, but he's coming along. He's a hard worker, and he played in the first lineup, so we'll see how he does.
I know that from watching major tennis, they always talk about, especially at the French Open, how big of an adjustment it is for American players to go and try to play on clay. It seems like there's a lot of recreational play on clay in this country, but not necessarily a lot of competitive play on clay. Coming the other direction from guys and girls who have grown up playing, almost exclusively on clay, what's the biggest adjustment that they have to make when they come over and now have to play on hard courts?
I think the speed of the ball. It depends, especially when we're outside or inside. The courts are faster, so them getting ready for the ball to come, they don't have as much time, so they
Sure.
have to get ready earlier. A lot of them use drop shots a lot in the clay game. You use that because it's more effective. It's not as effective on a hard court, especially at this level, because people are pretty fast, so
Sure.
they can get to those balls unless it's a really good drop shot with a lot of spin. So that's something we work on. They start to realize that they need to drive balls more than use their drop shot. And different serves are more effective on clay than on hard court. So that's usually the biggest adjustment.
The women are going to be in action on Saturday and Sunday. All the matches will be hosted by Drury. They're playing Maryville and Drury, and those will be a 6 p.m. start on Saturday, 11 a.m. start on Sunday for the women's tennis team. How good are Maryville and Drury? What kind of competition are you expecting on the women's side of the net coming up this weekend?
Well, Drury is always good. They're always top in their conference.
They got a pretty solid women's athletic program, pretty much top to bottom.
Yeah, their men's too. The men and women are always solid. We've been going there probably 10 years. They've been very gracious to have us there. So Maryville, I don't know very much about them. We haven't played them in a couple years since before COVID. We used to go to St. Louis a lot and play them that was one of the teams we played when we went into St. Louis, but we haven't played them in a couple years. They have a different coach, so haven't really looked at them too much yet, but I will starting tomorrow.
Sure.
So.
Well, and the men, they've actually got a conference match coming up. They won their first conference match. We talked about that against Augustana. The MIAA jointly runs men's tennis with the Great American Conference, so some of these teams that you're not used to hearing about, there aren't that many MIAA teams that actually have men's tennis. So at least I think last year or maybe this year they went in and kind of joined with the Great American Conference, schools down in Oklahoma and Arkansas. And between all those schools, and then they pulled in Augustana from, I think they're from the Northern Sun, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they've been trying to go D1 for a while, and it hasn't worked out, so they're stuck in the Northern Sun. And they've been able to cobble together a conference, which has some pretty good teams in it. And so you've got Ouachita Baptist coming up on Friday. How good is Ouachita Baptist?
They're always really strong in the GAC too. It'll be tough. They're very solid. We had a good match with them last year. We were close, and I think we're stronger and deeper this year. But so are they, so I think it'll be a good match. I'm looking forward to it.
And that's going to be a 9:30 a.m. start. It was listed at 10:30 a.m. It's been moved up to 9:30 a.m. And where is that going to be played? I know that's supposed to be here in Wichita.
It'll be inside because it's supposed to be cold. So we'll be at the Genesis off of Socorro.
Okay, Genesis off of Socorro, if people would like to come out and watch. And then final question for you. You have actually got, for the men, I don't know who is in charge of scheduling this, but 3 matches in 3 days for them. Ouachita Baptist in Wichita on Friday, then make the drive out. They'll get Maryville at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Drury, 11 a.m. on Sunday. So for the men, it is a very busy weekend. I don't know if you've ever done this before, at least not in postseason competition. How did this scheduling come about, and how do you hope your guys respond?
Well, when we were doing this, they said that they wanted to come here, which was unusual because usually we have to go there or meet them in the middle. And they said they wanted to come here.
Oh, for Ouachita?
Yes. So
Okay.
I didn't want to pass that up because I wanted to give the guys another home match. And then we had already scheduled the Drury because we do that every year. And I figured we've got enough guys. We got 12 guys on the team, so we should be able to figure out 6 people to play.
Okay. Well,
all 3 games. We'll see.
Going to have to grind it out and be tough this weekend. Once again, the men are in action next in MIAA GAC play coming up on Friday morning, Ouachita Baptist, and then both the men and women in action, non-conference duels coming up against Maryville and Drury. Shella Augspurger, the director of Newman Tennis, it is always a delight to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Blake.
Luca Penteado, sophomore off the men's team, will join us next on the Jetcast.
Hi, I'm Alex Stevenson with South Central Sealing and Paving. We specialize in parking lot maintenance. We do asphalt repair, crack seal, seal coat, slurry seal, concrete repair, striping. Heck, I'll do anything for money. My dignity can be bought. Do property management, trash pickup, snow removal. My kids gotta eat. And hey, if you need any carpet or anything like that, call my dad, Jeff Stevenson, at Harry Street Carpet. You tell him I look better than him on camera, he'll give you a 20% discount. We're South Central Sealing. Let us fill the cracks in your asphalt.
Returning on the Jetcast here with more tennis coverage. The men once again are in action coming up this weekend. They will be opening up their conference play in the MIAA and GAC. Ouachita Baptist, a Friday morning that's actually been moved up an hour, 9:30 a.m. for the first serve from that one, which is being hosted here in Wichita. Luca Penteado from Sao Paulo, Brazil joins me. He is a sophomore on this Newman Jets tennis team, and he'll be getting ready for that early morning wake-up on Friday. Luca, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show here. Early season for you, obviously the spring already in the books. How do you feel like you handled the spring season as a Jet?
You mean the fall season?
Yes, the fall season. I did that before we came on. I flip-flopped those. Yes, the fall season as a Jet. How did you handle that?
The fall season was very good. I worked a lot during the summer, so it was a good transition from summer to fall. And we have some pretty good tournaments. I started winning a tournament. The first one we played, I won that one. Then I was able to keep up to the end of the fall season. We had a good match against Tabor, and it was a pretty good transition to the spring now when we played our season.
What were your expectations coming into the year?
I mean, we have a pretty strong lineup. I mean, we don't have a really strong player, but our entire lineup is pretty solid. So I have good expectation from this year. We already beat Augustana. That's a conference match. We clutched that one. It was pretty good. And I think the team has a good energy. I think we're going to do pretty good.
What do you feel like is the strength of your own individual game?
I think I'm definitely not the strongest, not the fastest, but I'm always there doing the stuff. I think that's the most important.
Sure. Are you predominantly playing singles and doubles? I know last year you did kind of a blend of both. What are you predominantly playing this year, and what do you think you're going to continue to play here as we move forward in the spring?
I think I'm playing both of them. Pretty much, I hope to play both of them all the games.
Okay, so I mean, you just heard from Coach Augspurger, and she is still in the room to watch this interview, so it'll be up to her as to whether or not that happens. What's it like being coached by the Newman Director of Tennis, Director Augspurger?
I mean, it's pretty good. There's some pretty good advice inside the court, but also outside the court, and that's what helps me a lot to manage.
What do you think is the best piece of advice, as long as it's not too personal? You don't have to share any personal details, but what's the best piece of advice you've gotten for something off the court from Coach?
Off the court, sometimes, in the beginning, I couldn't really manage my classes but now I think it's pretty good. Relationship.
A lot of people, I think, when they go to college, especially student athletes, because there's so much demand on your time. You've got practice, you've got workouts, you've got your matches, and you also, you want to have a life and actually enjoy your time being a college student. And you've got those things that we call classes and grades that you have to worry about. What do you think was the thing that you struggle the most with, just with time management? And how is that going now here in the middle of your sophomore year? How have you adjusted?
I think like you always have to try to find balance. And like when I studied too much, didn't practice that much, was bad at tennis, good at school. When sometimes I practiced too much and didn't study that much, So if you find a midterm, it would be perfect.
When you are working on your game, what do you think? Not that you necessarily want to admit that you have any holes in your game, but if there is something that you feel like you could get better at, whether it's the serve, the backhand, volleying at the net, what do you think is the area of your particular game that you've been working on and you want to continue to work on during your sophomore year?
I think I have pretty strong serve, pretty strong first ball, very solid backhand, but I'm still missing those in-court forehands when I have to attack and finish the point. That's what I have to work on the most.
Those are big ones that can, if you can hit that deep shot into the corner, those are pretty effective shots as far as I've seen. I do like to watch tennis. Is there a tennis player that speaks to you that you try to pattern your game off of?
I mean, I really like Nadal, but I don't have all
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're also a righty. Aren't you? Yeah, you're a righty. I mean, obviously, I've never understood, but because I've watched tennis. I watch major tennis. I can't say I'm a real tennis fan. If you only show up to watch the majors, I don't know if that makes you a real tennis fan or not. But they always talk about the big differences that there is playing a left-hander. Of course, he would be great as a right-hander. He puts so much spin on the ball. But when you're playing a lefty versus a righty, how much difference is there for you as you're facing off against them?
I mean, I think the biggest difference, the effect they put in the ball. So like when they're serving, when they slice comes to my backhand, like what is supposedly to be better for him. But I like when they come in my backhand.
Sure.
But like this weekend, I played a lefty Augustana, and he was hitting flat serves in my forehand. I'm not used to that, and that was a big advantage.
Sure, absolutely. Well, coming up here, you guys have actually got I think 3 matches in 3 days, which for you guys, I think that's kind of unheard of. I didn't go back and look at the schedule, Coach, but you guys don't have, in tournament tennis, that's very, very common. You'll have a match on day 1, maybe a day off, and you'll play the next day, maybe you'll play the day after that as you're working through. Most of the big tournaments are, 2-week tournaments, but college tennis is not really set up that way. So for you guys, this is pretty unusual. How are you getting prepared for the days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that you're looking at, and you're going to be playing each day?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough physically. We're doing a lot of conditioning on the court and outside the court too, weights, lifting, pretty strong. I think the fall really helped us to prepare for that too. For example, fall tournaments, sometimes we had 3, like even 4 games in one day. So that's really preparing for the spring. So,
what do you guys play best of 3?
Yeah, best of 3.
Best of 3 sets?
Yeah, conference we play 3rd set, and non-conference we play a super tiebreak.
A super tiebreaker, okay. So that it's a little bit different. You play like how do you guys work your super tiebreakers?
Up to 10 points.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which I think that they have actually done at some tournaments now at the pro level. Because we can't play extra now. Wimbledon's gone to 70 games a couple of times, so we got to get rid of that. Do you know anything about your opponents? Washita Baptist. Obviously, that's the match that you have to have circled. Not only because it's first, it's the next one, but also that's the conference match. Not that you're not going to be trying to beat Maryville and trying to beat those Panthers of Drury as well on Saturday and Sunday, but Washita Baptist has got to draw the bulk of your attention. Do you know anything about your opponent in that match?
Yeah, we played them last year. We have a pretty strong lineup too, but we couldn't do much.
Okay.
We actually played a lot of them on the fall too.
Okay.
So we know what we're dealing with. Drury, they're very good. We're gonna try the best. I think we have a chance to beat them.
Okay.
And I don't really know about Maryville. I haven't played them yet.
Drury out of the Great Lakes Valley. Yeah. They're based in the southwestern Missouri. They're a very competent athletic program. They're having a lot of success on the basketball court as well this year. So they're a very well-rounded athletic program. So final question for you here, as we're coming up on, a few 2-3 months left in the season. What are your goals for this team? What are your goals for yourself to wrap up the year?
I think we have a pretty strong chance to getting positive in this year. And what I want for the team is to get more recognized from Newman in general. I think like a lot of people don't know that we have an actual really strong tennis team. and I think we can show that this year.
Well, if you would like to come out and watch the guys, 9:30 a.m. on Friday. They are at Newman Jets TEN on Twitter. If you'd like to follow along on the social media accounts, of course, Zach will have them all covered on the website as well, newmanjets.com. Men and women are at Maryville and Drury. It's a 6 p.m. start. Both the matches will be at Drury on Saturday and Sunday, but it's a 6 p.m. start on Saturday for the men and women, and an 11 a.m. start on Sunday morning for the Newman Jets tennis team as they look to get another conference win, at least the men do here in the MIAA Great American Conference play. Luca Penteado, the sophomore out of Brazil, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to wrap up the show talking basketball. I guess I should, before I let you go, because I do want to get to Coach Folefac, Mendel Folefac. She told me earlier this year that you guys and men's basketball are like best friends. How did that, just as a team, and I see you guys came in, you guys got in on Monday late after, I think it was middle of the first half, coming in after practice. You didn't want to miss the game. How did that friendship, I don't know if I would necessarily think of men's tennis, men's basketball, they're going to be the guys that hang out together. How did that bond come about?
I think it's pretty fair to say that it's about CAF. I mean, we meet
Sure.
each other at CAF every day. We sit together. I think that's pretty much the base.
Okay. Well, so hopefully some of those men's basketball players not going to be able to be there this weekend. They've got a road trip of their own that we'll be talking to Coach Folefac about. But obviously, hopefully, they'll be out to some of your matches as well. So thanks again, Luca.
Thank you for having me.
As we mentioned, Coach Folefac of men's basketball is coming up next as we wrap up the Jetcast after this.
Where can you land the best Jet swag? The official online store of Newman University Athletics, NUJetsgear.com. Store features the greatest variety of Jets logo gear anywhere. The latest clothing styles and hats to Newman branded lawn chairs and office supplies and more. NUJetsgear.com is your place to purchase sports specific, alumni, parents, and hard to find Newman merchandise. Shop right now on your computer or phone. NUJetsgear.com or click the Shop Now button at NewmanJets.com.
Life. It throws you curves and it knocks you down. But what separates the good from the great is the getting back up. Newman University will always get back up. We are a university of doers, of innovators, of transformers. We inspire as we soar to new heights. We will not be beaten. We will not settle for anything less than the best. We are Newman University.
Wrapping up the Jetcast, the men's basketball team getting set to make a road trip, maybe through some weather. We'll see how that turns out for us tomorrow as the Jets travel to Northeastern State. They're making the Northeast Oklahoma swing, and then they're going to head up for a makeup game, part of 8 games in 18 days as they travel up to Lincoln. So it's Northeastern State on Thursday, 5:30 doubleheader, and then we've got a 1:30 doubleheader for you on Saturday against Rogers State. Both of those games can be heard on the Newman Jets audio network, newmanjets.com/listen. Download the app for free on your mobile device, Google Play or the App Store, Newman Athletics app, or watch the MIAAnetwork.com. No audio network coverage for the game on Monday, but you can still watch that at the MIAAnetwork.com. We're joined by a first-year graduate assistant coach for the men's basketball team, Mendel Folefac. Coach Folk, so great to have you on. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
And he is literally squeezing us in. This is the day that they're getting everything set because they're leaving tomorrow. We're posting this at 6 o'clock tonight, Coach. So just hours before. So I know that Coach Kyle has been a little sick.
Yeah.
Coach Allen has had a family deal he had to run to.
Yes,
so how does it feel to kind of be the man in charge of the program right now?
Man, I appreciate those guys, first off, man. Honor to them, man. Showing me the ropes and, giving me the tutorials to kind of like segment my way through all of this. So it's a pleasure, and it's, like you said, it's a responsibility that I take on full, and I just do my best that I'm capable of. One thing that Coach Allen says is you can only control what you can control.
That's right.
That's what I do.
Well, Missouri Western, let's first start with that. A 6-point defeat for you guys, and you guys played just really really, really well in that first half, but they were able to turn the tables on you in the second half. In your mind, watching from the bench, what was the difference in the second half of that ball game against the Griffins?
Man, you got to give, kudos to their staff and the coaching. They did a pretty good job of just playing harder and rebounding, man. I feel like, rebounding really hurt us on the glass. Second chance points. Man, they just really played tough for those offensive rebounds. And I think that really hurt us in the second half, really.
You mentioned that you can only control what you can control.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you guys came into this season hoping, planning, working for more success than you have. You can't control what's happened in the past. You can only control the future.
Exactly.
And one thing that you can control is your attitude. As a leader, one of the leaders on this team, how do you help the guys keep their heads up? Because obviously, they didn't come out to have a season like this. They wanted to have success. They worked in the offseason for success. How do you keep their spirits up and keep them believing in what you guys are telling them, that things will turn around? Obviously, you're looking to have a strong end to the season, but obviously you want to get things going in the right direction next year too.
Yeah, of course, man. One thing I'm always telling the guys is, man, positive energy. Continually, just staying positive through the ups and downs, and doing other segments off the court. Hanging out with them as a grad assistant. I'm always in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all walking around the hallways. I'm going to their dorms.
Sure.
And sometimes it's just to be like, hey, what's up, man? Let's talk. Like, how you doing, man? How's your family, man? What other stuff or other hobbies do you have outside of this that we can kind of like, niche in together and kind of like go from there and see, just find different ways, man, to change the atmosphere rather than on the court, but off the court as well.
What do you feel like your other roles on the team are as a first-year graduate assistant? What are you being asked to do, and what do you feel like your role on this team is?
Man, my role on this team is everything.
He does a lot.
It's everything, man. It's everything, and I believe that God's, built me for this, and really just holding on the responsibilities of hiring managers, guiding them. I was a video manager at UTA, so I know the ups and downs of that, and just kind of like just doing everything on the court, practice fields, booking hotels, transportations, even on the court, fouls, timeouts, play calling, defense, boxing out, all kind of stuff, man. Going through the practice drills and dealing with the different emotions of classes and checking in on them, making sure that the grades are on point, making sure they're going to study hall, everything like that. Yeah.
Well, he's also doing stuff like ordering the food for the players after the game.
Yes, sir.
And the other thing that he also does, occasionally he's called in to be a driver of one of the vans.
Yes.
Are you the best driver of a van that the Jets men's team has had this year?
Man, in the beginning of the season, I feel like the players were a little nervous because they didn't know me. So, and then until the middle of the end of the season, man, everybody's driving with me now.
Sure.
Man, so I think they like me.
Turned it around?
I turned it around, man.
I've ridden shotgun with him a couple of times, and he's not messing around out there. I'll tell you that.
Not at all.
So, what got you into coaching? Why did you want to? Obviously, you were a student assistant at Texas Arlington, so you didn't play, but you were one of the guys cutting up the film for the guys. What made you? Obviously, you love basketball. What made you want to get into coaching?
Man, really. I have to say I love basketball, man. I love basketball, and really, man, I just believe it's God's plan in my life, man. And I believe it's taking me to where God wants me to go. And really, it's really helped define my character. It's challenged me in different ways of life on and off the court. It's really been a true blessing in that. So, I played basketball in high school.
Sure.
I remember I had a broken nose going into my senior year, and that kind of segmented me away from kind of going from there. And then I tried to go the whole JUCO route, but unfortunately, my grades weren't the best back then. My grades weren't the best. I'm going to be totally honest. My grades weren't the best back then. But, man, I've always just had a love of it, man. I always loved, watching coaches like Coach K, Coach Bob Knight.
Sure.
Some of the greats, man, out there. And, man.
But you're naming off some of the classics right there.
Yeah, man.
Even though you're a younger guy.
Yeah.
How did you come about? I mean, I don't think, was Bob Knight coaching in any part of your life?
Yeah, I believe in the early, I used to be a huge Texas Tech fan.
Yeah,
I really love Texas Tech, man. I love watching the way he coached those guys. Like, he really got the most out of them. And every coach is different. I believe I've been blessed enough being with UTA. I got to travel to out to North Carolina. I got to see Duke University, and that was an honor, man. You know, some of the colleges that we were able to travel to. Kudos to Coach Ogden and the staff there that granted us that permission, like, to be out there like that to see those schools, man.
Well, how did you actually? I mean, when you're going to school, I think if you asked people at, you know, especially Division I university like Texas Arlington, like, yeah, I'd love to, you know, cut up film for the basketball team. How did you actually get that job?
Man, craziest day of my life, man. I had just finished my half my undergrad over there at TCC, and I was getting ready to finish the other part of my undergrad and going to UTA. And I remember going up there, and I was like, man, I know I'm supposed to be around sports. I just kind of had the niche of it, knowing deep down I'm supposed to be in sports. And I went up there one day, and I saw who is one of my best and close friends now at UTA, Matt McGann. We call him Coach McGann, man. He's the video coordinator at UTA. Shout out to McGann. Hope he sees this. I remember I ran into him one day, and I was like, hey, man, I'm just trying to get somewhere on the court and do anything possible. I don't care if it's to wipe the floors or whatever it is, man. I'm just trying to be around basketball, man. And, man, he just took me under his arms, man, and brought me in and introduced me to Park Edson, who is also the Dobo over there, the director of basketball operations. And, man, they blessed me, man, to be in the position over there, and it kind of guided me all the way out through here.
I think it's a good thing for people to know, because I think a lot of people, you know, when they hear, oh, well, this guy or this girl, you know, failed out, didn't have the grades, you know, it's just over. And, you know, sometimes you have to work your way back, and it's not always easy. You know, we didn't talk about it. The guy who does the laundry a lot of days, this guy right here.
Sir. Yep, that's me.
But, you know, just because you have a setback, it doesn't mean that it's over. I mean, you know, grades weren't where they needed to be, obviously. You failed in that regard, but you learned from it, you grew from it, and now you're here.
Yes, sir, man. I got to give also kudos to Donald Driver, man. He was a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He owns Derivative Elite out in Texas, around the Grand Prairie area. The Garland area. And, man, one of my friends was going to go try out for the NFL, and he got introduced to him for workouts. And I had a video of me. I don't have it no more, but a video of me dunking. And he was just like, oh, my gosh, you can get up like that. And he kind of saw some other videos. And he really ignited, like pushed the igniting passion of me going back into basketball. He asked me to coach for his AAU team. Wow. And I ended up head coaching it. And, man, just to be around 5 through 8-year-olds, girls and boys, and kind of showing them the love and compassion that they need, not just in basketball, but in life, man. Because some of these kids may not have father figures and mother figures in their lives. Sure. But to just be there to show the support, man, it really gave me a new love for basketball.
Where do you see yourself in this profession, let's say 5 years from now?
Man, wow, that's a great question. Well, my true love is really being behind the scenes. You know, I'm a big time on operations and management in basketball.
So you're not necessarily in this to try to be a head coach? No.
I'm the big picture man, big picture guy. I love to help an organization behind the scenes and help push it and make the players feel at home, man. You know, seeing different players like we have here come from different places, you want to make sure that they feel accumulated and they feel welcome, man. And, you know, being behind the scenes, you know, like you said, doing the laundry every day and getting themselves prepared, ready, good food to eat, stuff like that. Sure. Just really being behind the scenes and help managing it all.
So, director, you want to be a director of basketball operations?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, if you're looking for one here, you got one more year with us?
Yes, sir, I do.
One more year with us, and then, hey, he's going to be ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Last question for you. Northeastern State, obviously. Yes, sir. That's your guys' only MIAA win so far. What's it going to take to get a sweep over them this year?
Man, pretty much do what we did last time, defend, man. Pray to defense, shot selections, and just playing harder, man. At the end of the day, play hard and knowing the importance of having fun. I feel like, you know, we kind of got lost in that in the beginning, but now we're finding there's so much more now. And let's just continue to the end.
NSU Event Center is the home of the Riverhawks of Northeastern State. That'll be the site for our next coverage on the Newman Jets Audio Network. Once again, Rogers State comes up on Saturday. The men only make that road trip up to Lincoln to Jason Gym to play the Blue Tigers on Monday. But next game will actually be tomorrow, Thursday this week, 5:30 doubleheader, men and women in action. Once again, NewmanJets.com/listen on the Newman Jets Audio Network, or download the app for free today on Google Play or the App Store, or watch the MIAA-network.com/Newman. Coach Folk, great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, man.
That is it for our show this week. We'll be back, hopefully going to get some triathlon on for you next week. So until then, Blake Cripps saying, go Jets.